Start the meeting.
What? Well, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, fine. We're going.
This is the Heritage and Events Committee meeting for Wednesday, the 15th of January, 2025. Do we have any apologies for absence?
We had apologies from Councillor Journey.
Okay. Okay, so 47924 minutes of Heritage and Events Committee. This is to confirm the minutes of the Heritage and Events Committee meeting held on the 13th of November 2024 as a true record and be signed by the chair. Do we all agree the minutes of the last one? Yeah. Declaration 488024 declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests. Nope, none of those. Good. Right, 48124 financial and other financial information to receive and discuss financial report for the period ending the 30th of November 2024, as well as other financial information. This is just to note the financial report, and I can hand over to Helen now.
Normally I would attach some sheets behind in the financial report, but unfortunately we were transferring our SharePoint from an old system to a new system, and I just couldn't access those sheets. So I do apologise. Be sure you'll get those sheets that make a little bit of sense. But I've still gone through the stage count, and I've really reported on the three issues. We have the hire of the Carnegie and Guildhall rooms, the provision of the bar service to those hired events where bar service is required, an initiative by the council to generate income by working with third parties to co-host events to generate ticket sales and bar income, and what we refer to as partnership or town type events. So I've given a summary in the report, and I'm not too sure whether there hasn't been that much change from the report that I tabled in October. Only 1 month has actually moved on from then. So November, I tabled the October report, and this is now a report up to the end of November.
Okay, do we have any comments? Doug, then Matt.
One brief one. Just could I check Screen on the Green being registered partnership event in that context? Because Screen on the Green, my understanding was that was a Repton and Town Council won't be in any formats. Just I've also got that in the same. That's the comedy clubs and stuff like that. So those were events which we were trying to make money from, wasn't it? Is that correct?
It is correct. In terms of the Screen on the Green, I can't remember what they did in the end. They didn't buy in Thetford. That's actually that was funded. It was a partnership event in so much as both Breckland and ourselves collaborated to deliver it. But actually that event was paid out of some leftover money of the old MTI. So I think it was something like £7,500. So yes, it was a partnership in that sense, but it wasn't in how we are reviewing partnership events going forward as we I was just looking at
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that was a bit. I was just a bit confused. That felt very different to what the other ones were. So
the 7,500 is money that we actually received from that they gave us permission to use from the unused grant. We've incurred cash costs of 7,458, but what we haven't taken into account is obviously the staff time. So we would have spent a lot of staff time, and that was our contribution in terms of doing it. So the 7,458 is cash costs, and then we don't account for, we haven't allocated staff time and other internal costs towards that.
we've not done that with any of the partnership events.
We haven't done any of that. No.
Thanks.
Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry if you've already covered this. When I was reading through it earlier, I do really appreciate the financial report. So thank you for that, Alan. I couldn't see, however, that we have a proper profit and loss for the Guildhall and Carnegie. I do understand there'll be shared costs and lots of very direct costs. So things like how much is it costing us to provide the venue? And the bar, it is really good to see the income was increasing, but how much is stock costing us? How much is our wastage? How much is bar related staff costs and staff cover costing us? So if I could have that, please.
I think
In the next minute.
what we started doing is we're actually doing an unbundling. So I started to do the unbundling during the course of the year, but you could only go so far because, for example, if we look at our rates for the whole building, we only have one rates bill that takes into account Carnegie, it takes into account this. We have one insurance bill. So I stopped at one stage. Otherwise, I'll never get my financial reports out. What we've done is we've taken a step back and we said at the budget level, we budget at the overall level. And I will then, once the budget's approved, take it and actually break it down into every single component. So we'll be able to do that. So, for example, on business rates, we'll be able to do it on the land, on the floor area if we don't have separate accounts. Likewise, all the other costs, the electricity, there are separate gas bills for this building, there's separate gas bills for the Carnegie. But to go through and just decipher that for the purposes of doing it this year, I took an unauthorized executive decision to stop doing that but we have started to work through the accounts and actually break it down in the accounts. So next year when we start, we'll have all that information. So we'll be able to give an accurate figure.
Thank you.
Doug?
Sorry, can I have one question? Was that I should have made a page number. Was it page 2, just a bit above here, I think. There was a sentence, how taking into account staff and utility and business rates increases in recent years, it's unlikely that. I think we've raised an email, but I haven't actually seen what the rest of the sentence was supposed to be.
Oh, it,
More recent.
I
Yeah.
changed it. It was in the hall hire. It was,
it says it's unlikely that the venues generate surpluses as currently rating. Is that right?
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I assumed it was saying something like that, but I haven't seen the update.
Right.
Because we were updating SharePoint, I didn't. This is updated here, so I do apologize.
Okay, any other comment?
Can I just make one final comment on
Yeah.
partnership events? We took a decision in September as a result of some of the losses that were generated by our comedy clubs, which is the top there. And as a result of that, we've put a complete block on any partnership events. We haven't taken any partnership events on since then, although we are getting inquiries. Now, I know there is a risk, as the report says, there's always a risk in these kind of things. Apart from the comedy clubs, they actually do generate some kind of return, whether it's enough. What I would highlight, though, is there are some events that are now taking place and not taking place in the Carnegie as a result of that decision. On the 21st of December, they had a Santa show in the Carnegie, and before that decision was taken in September, that would have been a ticket split partnership event. We informed the hire of the decision of the committee, and it was changed, and they had a pure hire. The higher value to us was £220. If we'd have had a ticket split on the actual ticket sales at £12.50 a ticket, they generated an overall gross of 2,750, and our 30% split would have been 825. So that's a significant increase on the 220. Roy Chubby Brown is coming in September the 19th of this year. And again, we informed his agent that we couldn't do a 70-30 ticket split. Already that show, even in January, is sold out. While I was doing this calculation, it's even more now. 240 ticket sales at £29, which equates to £6,960 gross sales, of which our 30% split would have been £2,080. Our hire, actually, on Team Up, it says 8 hours, but we looked at it earlier, and because he's just a one-man band, really, he doesn't need to be in very long. But this is actually more than what it probably is. An 8-hour hire at £36, which is the new rate of hire, is £288, as opposed to 2,080. So what I'm saying, Joe Pasquale, sorry, I spoke to the agent just before Christmas, and because we couldn't do a ticket split, he is not appearing at the Carnegie. I think the nearest venue to us is the Attleborough Connaught Hall. So what I'm saying is, I understand it's high risk. We did take that decision. We've adhered to that decision since then. But is there another way this committee could look at not delegating down the powers to officers only, But is there an opportunity that we can have Alan, maybe the H&E manager, whoever that may be, and maybe a couple of councillors from this committee to be on a delegated group to assess the risk and see whether we want to take, we look as if we are attracting some more high profile. These comedy clubs were very low key. Maybe they are not the risk that we want to take. But when we've got things like these kind of shows, we don't want to lose the opportunity to generate income. We don't want to lose the opportunity for them to appear in Thetford rather than elsewhere. So is there another way that you would like to try and evaluate that risk and maybe take a chance? I don't know what Alan's thoughts are. He's done a lot of hard work on this, and I'm not undermining his report any way, shape or form, but this is just an opportunity that we've missed. So on the odd occasion, can we reevaluate our risk maybe within a working group? Sorry.
Matt.
I was just going to say that we actually made that decision because we had so many small events that were losing money. So we made the decision on what was put in front of us, really. We've never had an event where there's been such a difference in cost. So £7,000 is a significant loss to make or to miss out on, if you like. But we made the decision not on Roy Chubby Brown coming, we made it on tiny little events where we lost money. So from my point of view, I think it's always sensible to revisit things if there's a better way of doing it or a change of procedure. Otherwise, we're just holding on to something because we made that decision we can't change.
However, Matt, in September, I did, in the past, that has been a delegated authority to myself as the manager. I absolutely agree with committee. That risk should be shared. Different views should be taken. We shouldn't have a carte blanche either way. It should be evaluated case by case, if you like. But what I'm saying is we genuinely want to increase revenue. And these kind of sums of money are not things that we should be turning away, in my opinion.
Anyone else want to have a?
Well, I just think, like Max said, we shouldn't just shut the door on everything. If there are things coming down the pipe, then we ought to be, looking on a case-to-case basis, because clearly we're missing out on a lot of revenue.
If I can, I think when we made that resolution, the caveat was that there had to be some due diligence on it, and the town clerk would be tasked with doing that due diligence. And I think that really was the issue. That if we have a proposal, is that you actually it's costed out and it's actually presented to the town clerk. So the town clerk has the responsibility, or has, being independent of the finance, which I'm heavily involved in, and heritage and events, that the town clerk would then be in a position to question that. And I think that was really the general, just not only for potential partnership events, if you want to call it that, but any other town event where, there are risks, because we run risks on lots of things that we do. It's not just partnership events. So it's really just a matter of making sure that there is that due diligence. And I think, last year we prepared some forms which help articulate what we were actually doing as part of our events. And it's just a matter of just cementing that process so that there is. But the town clerk was, if you go back to the resolutions, the town clerk was tasked for signing off anything that's not just a basic hire. And I think that's really what we agreed. So
You do a sale, but flexibility is still there.
but it's going to be subject to due diligence.
Yeah.
But I can't sit down and negotiate something from a financial perspective, but I should always have due diligence. And I think we just put the due diligence in that the town clerk actually does it. So someone would go, for example, and present something. This is a case, we've got a situation, I think, with the kickboxing in November. There's a similar situation, where you might want to waive certain higher fees because your other benefits of doing it. But you need someone to sit there and question, is that right? Is that an appropriate risk? How do we manage that risk and then make a decision? And then it's fine, because I always believe that you've got, even having a due diligence doesn't absolve the council from making a bad decision every night again. We're all going to make bad decisions. If you had to question me, I'd make lots of bad decisions, but it's not that my intention. But at least if someone reviews it, if I go to someone and say, please review this, what's your viewpoint? At least there is a kind of, I've tried to demonstrate to someone that there's an accountability for it. And I think that's really what that procedure is to do.
So because we made that resolution in September, then I can't quite understand why we haven't been able to
I don't think,
do that, these bigger events. I don't quite understand why town clerk wouldn't be able to be involved in that.
Sorry.
well, I don't think we, at that moment in time, I don't think we had that procedure in place. I mean, I'm not even sure whether was Sonia actually appointed in September. I'm not sure. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. But I think it is something that we've talked about recently in terms of the clerk having great powers of approving those decisions. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, Carla, did you want to say something?
I think what confuses me a bit, that I'm concerned about, is that we're looking at blocks of information in isolation. So in September, we looked at implementing this rule that we wouldn't work in partnership. Based on the accounts we were given, the fact that small groups were sort of bleeding us money from the rentals in the spaces, and it was unsustainable on long term for the budgets of this council, which I totally understand, and I can see there was a point that needed to be addressed. So we need to make some savings by addressing the issue. Now, from information you're giving us now is that there are events of larger scale that generate a lot of income if we were to work in partnership. So this is information I didn't have in September. We're looking at blocks of information one bit at a time, but we are making decisions one bit at a time, not looking at the whole picture, basically, and looking at the umbrella situation of the whole council for all the spaces and for all of the events. What's coming in, what's coming out on the overall cake, per se. If that's the case, then the partnerships make sense, because that is, like they said, a lot of money that we're losing out by not working in collaboration with specific groups that bring a lot of people in. And if the small groups are an issue because they are not giving us income, they actually creating a deficit, then the larger groups and the income that comes from larger groups will balance out the losses of the little groups. And in that point, we could still accommodate all of the groups and give the benefit of options to the whole community without having to put them out of bounds and not giving them a roof to operate as we've been doing for the last few years. So I think we really need to revisit the whole of the balance sheet as a whole, what comes in and out from all sources, and really come down to what is the balance at the end. How much are we winning? How much are we losing? How much is this costing us? And is it worth to get rid, per se, of the smaller groups in pro of not working with bigger groups? And if that's the case, yeah, I think you're right. We need a small committee, or perhaps one or two of the workers, or somebody one of the councillors, to come down and assess their risk, because as in everything, there's risks, and we need to implement that, and somebody needs to do it. But I think that's the most viable option.
Doug, then Vic.
So yeah, I just think this particular company is beginning to generate why approving or disapproving of any particular individual act by committee would be an absolute nightmare. It's something we want to avoid at all costs. Unfortunately, this is about putting a policy in place. And if you don't feel this policy has worked very effectively because you think we're missing out on stuff, and you think that perhaps the procedures we've laid out last time of the town clerk getting signed up doesn't work, isn't it about coming to with a proposal of, okay, this isn't working, this is the way we think it should work? Because I think what we clearly need, therefore, is just a policy that says this is how we're going to approach these decisions, and anything of this level of risk requires this sort of sign off. And if we have that in place, that seems to fix the problem more long term, probably changing based on individual acts.
Yeah, Vic.
One of the things we're looking to do is to put the Google Carnegie into trust. So there's obviously going to be a committee of some sort, whether it's the trust, whether it's councils, that would look at exactly that. Because if we're saying, well, let's put it in a trust and let's have someone come in, so they're focusing on that only, and they can go and get grants or whatever. If we're saying to them, but you can't do this, it's a little bit short-sighted, I think. I do agree, like subcommittee, but I think subcommittee will come out of the Guildhall Carnegie Trust thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got to progress that a little bit quicker than we are.
Yeah, so when that happens,
And then we can
would automatically,
because I agree, David, you're absolutely right. We shouldn't be losing. The idea of putting it in a trust is to attract bigger, better. And we're looking to get money in as well to help with doing the colleague out and things like that. So we're looking to improve the offering, but we can't put handcuffs on people and say that you can't do that. And I think that's where we need to sort of move the thing forward.
Yeah, Katie, what do you want to say?
I would just say that I think in September, I think we did address it in the right way. We made a decision on very small events and the risk, ironically, you know, is increased because we don't generate very much money in those. I think what I'm suggesting now is these big hitting events, which can generate several £1,000s. Matt is absolutely right. We aren't at a stage now where we can identify all of the costs, but you'll find that once we get to that, Carla's right as well, in terms of let's maximise the income when we can that will support those opportunities to work with the smaller groups. So you're right, we can't be handcuffed, I don't think. But we need to have a process where you guys feel confident that the risk is not. We only meet every 2 months. If I have an inquiry tomorrow, I have to have a procedure. And if Alan's reminded me that that procedure is to go to the town clerk with a proposal, that is absolutely fine. And then she can take the count. But if I have that inquiry from another big group, we've got Oh What a Night, the Jersey Boys coming. Again, they're selling really, really well. And again, it's an opportunity where we could have had a ticket split, but we didn't. So we're not going to benefit from that necessarily. We couldn't wait until March. I couldn't say to the agents, I'm sorry, but we've got to go to committee in March. You'll have to wait. They'll be off. They'll be gone. So I think we need to have a process that you're comfortable with. And if that's the case, that you're happy with the town clerk being that first. And at the end of the day, we can email those aspects of what the deal would be. And, you know, if we've got this overall resolution that gives us the power to prepare that and send it via email for councillors to make their decision and concerns. But broadly speaking, those kind of big hitting events, we should entertain the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just to say, so the reason we're getting these big hitting events is because we're now part of something called the House Theatre Network, which we've been building on over the last few years. To be able to be part of that, you have to offer a certain amount of things within your venues. We're now hitting that because we're doing a lot more things. So that's why Roy Chubby Brown came to us, that's why Joe Pasquale came to us, that's why Oh What a Night came to us. So we are going to start getting, because we're now on that register, and so if you search House Theatre Network, it'll be all the network of theatres in the country, and then people like these agents of these big companies, they will then contact you, which is why this has been happening. So, which is a really positive thing for Thetford and the Carnegie. So I just sort of, pop that out.
So, yeah, and just on another note, I understand that they generate a lot of money. But I just don't think, my feeling about having Roy Chubby Brown here, I wouldn't want to be the town council associated with him at all. And it worries me that somebody that is like him, who is a racist, misogynist, is going to be performing there. Okay, he's sold out, but I just don't think we should have had him in. That's just my feeling. Sorry, I just don't like that. Vic,
Can I ask what we're going to do in the interim? Because if we're going to set up something,
We have policy.
we have a policy already that they can go to the town.
obviously the policy isn't working. So we do need to look at it again.
Because I've not been using that policy. We've taken a couple of
So the
decisions
policy is
before
that-
that's been filtered in. It's now the suggested process.
I think what we're going to be very careful of is we get caught up in certain words. Partnership and a joint venture are not necessarily the same things. And what we're talking about in some of these ticket splits, that's a joint venture. You're going to come in, we're going to do certain things, and you're going to do that. It's very different to a partnership event, where partnership, this is your risk, this is your task. So what we try to do, and why maybe the interpretation got lost, is we said for all events that are not basic hire events, they get signed off by the town clerk. So for example, if you have a look there, we had a period crop weekend. We spent a lot of money, but we didn't get any income from. But what is that? Is that a partnership event? So all we did, and this is the point that we made, is that every event that we have, there has to be an independent sign-off, and the town clerk can do that. So whoever it is, the heritage and event manager goes to the town clerk, this is what I'm planning to do, this is what I believe the income will be, this is what I believe the expenditure will be. The town clerk can interrogate that, test the assumptions that have been made, and sign it off. And then there's an accountability. And this committee, we would then report back to this committee, this is what we've done, and this is what we're planning to do. And I think the weakness, if I just look back, I've been involved in this committee for a year now, is we never talked very much about what we're going to do. We tend to talk what we have done, and to change that a little bit and say, these are the events that we're planning to do. This is the basis that we're planning to do it. And I think that will help overall. I'm sorry to flog a dead horse, but I'm just...
No. That's answered the interim question.
Right. So so there is a procedure in place and we can follow that. Yeah. Good. So is everyone happy to, we got to note the financial report? Yeah. Right. 48224 is a budget for the year ending the 31st of March, 2026.
Just if I
Over
can,
to you.
I think really what I did is at the last meeting, we agreed a program of events. So we've included that there. In some of the earlier reiterations or reiterations of the budget that I've done, I haven't necessarily complied with it. I've tried to comply with it. What I have done is recently, and probably after having submitted this bit of budget, I put a little bit more emphasis on generating revenue from our hall hire, because I think that there is an opportunity to do that. And I put a little bit of income generating from our bar income. And I think that's not unreasonable. Our bar income dived a little bit, it actually is recovering. And I think if we just look at product selection and margin management, I'm sure that we can actually make some money. But otherwise, the budget is very much there. In the context of the Border Council, our budget at the moment stands at a 4.99% precept increase. So if we change this budget, we've got to change someone else's budget. And I think it's just to understand that I think the budget is fair. I don't think we've been unreasonable. I don't think we've been ambitious. The last point I just want to make is that we've talked about the heritage, the Carnegie and Guildhall Trust. Last year, I budgeted for that to move, and it's come back to really bite me. I've lost lots of nights sleep over because we actually made some financial decisions around that. This year, I haven't done that. If we decide to establish the Carnegie Trust, say in June or September, we will then do a financial split. We'll actually take out the costs. The bottom line is that from day one, it will never be financially sustainable. It's impossible for that to happen. So there'd have to be a grant from the town council for the establishment, whether it's some form of seed capital. And it's that seed capital that would actually fund the initial operations of the trust. So we will incur expenditure because our salary costs are quite high, and our revenue is still growing. There will be a net cost to us in the first year, and that's implicit, but it's just moved from being in the precept funded budget to a reserve funded budget. I hope that makes sense.
Any comments? No, go.
I've been reading this now.
I feel like I'm really annoying.
No, it's fine.
No, I'm just going to interrogate the things on the income just to make sure we're being robust on that as well. And then it's Carnegie High, you did say you could actually put it. Is it right? It's doing up 10K forecast, if I read it correctly.
Sorry, the
Carnegie complex hire?
I have
10K.
45.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've increased it by 45 this year because we haven't put up our whole hard charter for years and years.
So it's like to me
that will now.
we'll keep the same rate basically.
Yeah, I understand it'll be a slight decline because some people might walk away, but I think overall there'll be an increase.
That makes sense. That's literally the only one I really wanted.
Right. Okay. Right, so the recommendation then is that if everybody is happy, we'll present this to the Corporate Services Committee. Yep. Good.
Sorry, I did.
Oh, yeah, go on, Doug.
Sorry, I teased you about it.
I think we just made that decision.
If we made remember Sunday, budget forecast this year was particularly high. Is that because of the speaker, or why is the budget forecast was one?
Sorry, one of my reports I've explained it. I just think We actually have exceeded our budget for this year.
Yeah.
So all I've done is I've recognised that. So if our budget was higher and our expenditure was higher this year, I can't foresee that it's going to be lower next year because our role will remain fairly consistent, is my understanding.
Bear with my numbers really in the grand scheme of things, but it's just therefore remembering Sunday's up in the forecast compared to what was budget, but it's back to the same budget.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's 600 budget from last year, if I read correctly, 1,521 is the actual cost it seems, and then there's 600 forecast.
Can you approve the budget subject to that being further interrogated?
It's all working space.
What is it?
That's that
That one.
line item.
There was some
The remembrance.
expenditure this year because we basically we took over a lot of the stuff which I believe we used to pay it anyway somewhere, but it never sort of came into the one heading. But because we're doing it now, it's coming into the one heading.
Okay.
Because we do everything now because it's our
Right,
it's our show.
yeah.
Um,
So the budget for that is 600 this,
So I've got a contingency somewhere to increase it by £1,000. There goes my contingency.
right, so that needs to be increased.
No.
Okay, so when we present this to corporate, that will be
Yeah.
different. Okay, thank you.
An approver and a proposer and seconder.
Oh, right, yes. Okay. Oh, to increase it, right. Can we have a proposer then to increase that? Doug, seconder, Vic, all in agreement? Anyone not? No, good. Okay. Right, 48324, purchase of flags. To improve the purchase of flags to conform to the Thetford Town Council flag raising policy. So for VE80 Pride, Armed Forces Day, Norfolk, oh, that's Norfolk flag, Remembrance Day. Are we happy to purchase those? Yes.
I must admit, I'm a bit narked with this.
Oh,
10 years now, I've been banging on for us to commemorate Holocaust Day. We agreed we would. Where's the Holocaust flag?
sorry.
We have had a discussion about that. The committee would amend the decision to include the investigation of getting that flag. If there is one available, we just let it check.
It's one available because I've been
Brilliant.
on the Holocaust site. And also, it's January the 27th. Doing.
So
Yeah,
you said basically we're going to be too late to get the Holocaust flag in time for International Holocaust Day.
I really can't hear what you're saying.
Are we too late to get the flag, or do you mean to do an event?
Well, it must be both, which is really annoying. You know, I mean, it's just silly. I mean, how long have I been going for us to come?
so I apologise that the Holocaust flag wasn't in this list. It is within the flag policy, flag raising policy. I'll make sure that we can, if we agree tonight to include that, which I'm sure we will, I'll make sure that we purchase one tomorrow. In terms of what we're going to do, the flag policy is all about the flag raising policy. So it will be very much like the Commonwealth Day, Chris. You'll raise a flag, you'll say your bit as mayor, and that's pretty much it. But I assure you, I will do my very best to get one here for the 27th. I do apologise for
The
that.
proposer for that to add the Holocaust. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So that's-
sorry, Mike, did you want to?
Just another issue on flags. I know it's a small one, but we're paying 35 quid for a VE Day 80 flag, which I guess will be used once. It doesn't strike me as very good value for money. If the flag said VE Day, wouldn't that make the point just as well? But it could be used for a number of years. And there may not be such a flag, but it seems weird to me to buy something that's going to last for a day.
Yeah,
Casey.
yeah, it's because that's the recommended one nationally to have for this year specifically. So if we didn't have that, it's the same as the D-Day 80. So that's a specific one for this year because it's such a big birthday for it. And they do put the prices up on them because it is a celebratory thing and they try and sell as many, but it is the national rollout of the flag. So if we didn't have that and just had a VE Day one, then we wouldn't be in keeping with the rest of the kind of
I
country.
don't personally have any great problem with not doing what the national what's it is. I do look, however, at the opposite side of things, which is the influence, the effect it has on people. There will be the odd adult who thinks, "What on earth is that, wasting time?" But there will also be, I think, the whole issue of VE Day and VJ Day is actually quite a difficult one for young people, the ones we'd like to be bringing into the situation to understand. Why did this war finish twice, Dad? Oh, it's weird. The whole thing is weird. The obsession with VE Day, to me, is near to being racist. What we're really saying is the whites are finished. Now we'll sort out the others. That's what it looks like a bit. So I'm not that keen on VE Day. It is not the end of the Second World War. That was VJ Day. And I think pushing VE Day in itself is a fairly unhealthy thing. We should be pushing the end of the war, not some arbitrary date chosen when one particular battlefield came to an end. That's probably my rant for the evening.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. Any other comments? No, so,
Sorry, Annie.
yes, go on, Matt.
A question and a comment. One is, a moment ago when Chris said he'd come and what's the policy to raise a flag? And we're going to do that every time we switch over?
If you look at the flag policy, it's quite detailed. There are times when we will fly the flag for a whole month, because committee has approved our support in terms of supporting that kind of an event. June is a funny month because unless we eventually get the 3 flagpoles out there, we've got an issue with flying Pride all month and also recognising Armed Forces Day, which is within June as well. But we'll get over that somehow. But yeah, it's quite a detailed policy. It's actually quite, once we get the flags, it will be reasonably easy to do.
I was pro flag. I'm on pro flag team. I'm very grateful to Doug for all his work. My only thing is, I almost feel it makes a bit of a mockery of the real flag raising events to do. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how we're actually just going to put the flag up. I mean, I can say, I'm gay. I can say this, Pride. Happy for it, but I don't think we need like a flag raising for Pride. We're not going to do that and Norfolk Day, Remembrance Day, Armed Forces Day, VE Day. Absolutely, everyone out there, raise them up. The right thing to do. But Pride and Norfolk Day, we don't need like an official flag raising, do we?
No, it's.
Oh, thank God.
I was going to say, I'm worried now. I've written a different policy than what I remembered. I'm hoping I didn't say anything about that. This is just a flag being raised.
Yeah.
Ceremony around. So,
and hopefully that will go hand in hand with some media reference to the fact that the council is supporting this and that, with a nice little picture of the flag.
I'm just picturing like sad trombone music. The Pride flag.
No.
My other point was, I won't be as descriptive as Mike was. However, I am almost inclined to agree a little bit. And again, I'm happy to be shot down on this. I do think it makes more sense to get a VE Day flag than a VE Day 80. I'm also with Mike. I don't really care if we don't match what Dis and Wyndham are doing. It's all about remembering and community and unity. 2 numbers on a flag to me. I can't imagine anyone is going to look up and say that flag's missing an 80. But what they will say is there's no flag at all.
Yeah.
So I'd rather we have a flag and use it going forward than purchasing a one-off VA Day 80. Oh, we've got it. That was.
So are we proposing then that we have a VE Day flag and not a VE 80 Day flag?
I'd like to propose that.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Everyone agree?
If there is one.
Okay.
Do you want to comment on it first?
I don't really, and the reason I don't is when you look through the VE Day flags, they're very different from all the other VE Day ones. The VE 81 is a specific symbol for that year. So if you pick another one, it'll say VE Day, you can use it next year and the year after. But it won't be the same as, and it's not this and Wyndham, it's the rest of the country using. That's my point. So every piece of branding you see everywhere will be VE 80. That's what the branding will be. So, you know, for 30 quid, Jesus, I'll pay for it.
I'm not sure, Chair, that branding is necessarily even a good thing. My dad might have cared, fought in the war. I'm not sure that the huge majority of people who were not alive at the time see it as a particularly significant thing. Is it more significant than the 85th or this 78th? What's so special about 80? I think we're building up something that is actually it's almost an invention to flag makers and other people to make money out of, to be honest. I just don't get it. Why can we not celebrate the anniversary without having to put the actual number on the flag? And to push it a stage further, does that mean that we'll be having a new flag for VE Day 81? If not, why not?
Because it's not a round or half number. So all anniversaries.
No, you're right.
80.
Actually, until recently, the
75.
numbers that counted were 725, 50 and 75. That's why I think 80 is a bit of a fake. It's not traditionally been the significant number. I suspect it's there because of commercial pressures.
Chris, then Doug, Vic and Carla.
We set a precedent last year by having a D-Day 80 flag.
Right.
Did we not?
So,
Can we have Vic, Carla?
So we've set a precedent. I must admit, I'm not the most military-minded and warlike person you can imagine, but for once, I'm going to totally disagree with Mike. He can rant all he likes. He might be head teacher, but I'm going to call that. No, I mean, these.
It's the 22nd anniversary if you want to buy a flag for it.
A commemoration of something or a celebration of something as historic as the fact that we escaped living under Nazi and fascist rule is something we really have got to celebrate, you know, and not the fact to take it for granted that my dad gave his youth up so we could sit here and do this. You know, and I don't think we should look at it in a small way. And if we have to spend 30 quid a year on a 80 flag, yes, because there are still survivors out here. Ronnie Butcher, who comes to the dues, can you imagine what an insult it is to him to think he's, you know, put his life on the line, and we just can't be bothered to, you know, celebrate it properly. So I must admit, I totally disagree with Mike, and I think we should go for the VE flag.
Sorry, did your dad serve until the end of VJ Day?
My dad was in Asia, he was in D-Day, etc., and the European theatre.
But he was still a soldier, presumably.
He definitely was a soldier, yeah. 'Cause
So,
after
you know,
the
they
year-
didn't all go home after VE Day. That wasn't the end of the war. So I keep saying this is not the end of the war.
And then you, right,
so
Doug.
I think it still shows what a massive issue it can be about members and also why it's important. I think perhaps it's framing about why it's important for me. And I'm actually back on the side of, I love how granular this discussion is going. I'm on the side of the 80 flag. Again, maybe an artificial ceremony in a sense. And as someone whose grandfather fought actually in the Asian battle, I very much understand and sympathise with the fact that the you know, marks the end of the war, not the E-Day. But E-Day is a national moment, and I think we as a council are standing about a national moment to commemorate and educate and celebrate. And I think the E-Day 8th anniversary will be one of those occasions. So I don't think we're doing any disrespect, and I personally think that's what we should go for.
Right, Vic.
I actually do agree with one thing you said, and that's that it is for 1 year. And it is, and we do want to celebrate VE Day, whether it's 81, 85, 137, we do, and having a VE Day flag for that, and VJ as well, wouldn't go amiss. But I do think the VE 80 is important, and if it is about cost, I'd be happy to throw in 30, 40 quid to buy it myself. I'm sorry, but I do believe firmly that we're celebrating. It's a big occasion, a big national occasion. We're having a big party. to commemorate and celebrate the end of the war in Europe. We know it's not the end of the war. We're still going to do something for VJ Day as well. But I just think, you know, if it is, well, let's get a VA Day flag for the council that we can fly every year. Fine, that's fine. I'll chuck in the 40 quid and buy the VA 80 because I think that's the one we should be flying this year.
Okay. Carla,
I appreciate different people see things differently. That goes for celebrations about military dates. That goes for which events go on our buildings, whether or not they're going to attract a certain type of crowd that has certain type of ideals. Different people will have different views about everything, and such as the community. The community is diverse with different views. Because it's a national date, and in respect to the historical content and to respect to the military troops that are still serving and everything, I think we should fly the flag that represents that date, to celebrate that date and to pass on that bit of history on. Whilst I appreciate that you say it's a money-making machine before people make flags, yes, it is. But that's the nature of the beast. That's what I think it was going to happen to every council in every part of the country, because the flags are for that date, so they hike the prices. Is it 35 quid for this council a lot? I personally don't think so. I mean, I have a proposal. We can go for a pint in the bar after this. We fellowship in a fiver. We get ourselves a couple of flags. We'll wear spares. It's not a big ask, 35 quid, in my perspective. I think that's easily doable. Can we fly next year? Probably not, but it is a round number. So in that respect, I would be in favor of getting a flag.
right, Chris,
Just one more comment. It appears that I'm still going to be mayor when the VE thing is going on.
You will, Chris.
Right, so if the council decides not to buy flags, I'll buy it myself.
Buying 3 at this rate.
I'm sure we will.
right,
Fellowship and we'll get it back.
okay, well, we had a proposal,
And that,
with
they will buy one for the 81st anniversary.
yeah, we've had a proposal that we should have just a VE Day flag, which Mike proposed and Matt seconded. Who's in favour of that?
Stick to my guns.
Actually, I am as well, so I don't know if my vote counts. Right, so on here, the proposal is that it's the VE 80. So who's in, can I just have a show of hands for that?
Just ask for the proposal and second for that.
For that one, yeah. And we need to add the Holocaust flag to this as well. So do we need a proposal and second for
I
that?
think just the policy.
Yeah,
Including the Holocaust.
we'll include the Holocaust flag.
Okay.
Okay, so we just need a proposal then for the purchase of those flags, including the Holocaust flag. Matt, and Chris, yeah, everyone in favour? Anyone in favour? Yeah. Right,
Don't do that. Not funny.
I'm back on my head last.
Not funny.
I don't really care.
I do.
hey,
I get emotional things and sometimes that be bothered.
No, we have to respect some people that just give the.
Chris, when you get the details for the basing of flag, if you're doing the ceremony, could you let us all know? Because
Which one?
Holocaust. Because it'll be a 10-minute thing, and I want.
right, 48424, update on mayoral and civic events.
Sorry, Chair, can I very briefly say something before you pass on to the next point on the agenda?
Is it about the flags?
Very, very quickly about the flags. Consider that it was approved, and we're still on record. I will offer the flag myself for VE Day, and I can because I'm the only non-British sitting at this table, so I kind of bring it down a tone, and I'll offer the flag as deputy mayor, which is not a big ask. So I will pay for the flag, and we'll settle things that way. So there's no cost to the council.
Thank you.
We're on record, so you can hold me onto it after. There you go. That's it.
There are hundreds.
Right, okay, we're moving on to 48424, update on mayoral and civic events. This is just to note the update. Everybody's read. Is everyone happy to just note the update? Yeah. Any comments? No. Right, update on 48524, Update on town and partnership events. This is again just to note the update. Everyone happy? And we've already had a discussion about partnership events, haven't we? Right, 48624.
Sorry.
Yes,
Me,
Matt.
it's me and my delayed.
If I've got my glasses.
No, it's me. I was
The
reading my notes. Forget the fact I wrote them. I just had two about town events. I didn't know if this is the right bit to bring them up. I didn't want to bring them up earlier. I had two questions. Earlier on we mentioned that we have agents and things like that. For like Roy, I hate saying Roy Chili Brown. For Roy Brown. Do we reach out to them or do they reach out to us? Joe Pasquale, I think was the other one you said.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a favour? There's been quite a bit online about the fact there's no drinks sold after 8 o'clock. I was coming in here to hear the whole, this is appalling. And then I read the comment where we said he has requested no drinks after 8. In that case, I'm like, makes perfect sense. But please, can we have that printed, laminated, and stuck to the bar?
That's part of
We are going to get the absolute.
So
stipulation anyway, so we have to have him come into the building, that has to be printed. So when you look at a ticket, it's in really bold. If you print a ticket, it's really bold. It also says, obviously, and I respect everyone's opinion and views, that obviously if you're easily offended, please do not come. That is bold on it. The reason he doesn't have drinks in the auditorium when he comes on, because there is a warm-up act as well, is because he's been glassed, he's been bottled. So it's just for the safety of the audience and for him. So the bar will be open after the tribute, not the tribute act, that's the warm-up act. After that.
just frightened the life out of everybody now.
Yeah.
Book a ticket if there's going to be a glass. Well, even better.
And then, yeah, after that interval, then I'll be shut.
See, the main part is what I want, is it clearly saying as the first sentence, at the request of the act.
Yes.
I don't want it to come back to us because already on Facebook we're getting, and I'm really grateful for whoever does the Facebook for the Carnegie account. It's instant replying, say he has requested this. Really appreciate that. But if it's just printed, laminated, stuck to the bar, saying at the request of the act, it is not us closing the bar.
Yeah.
And on the posters, it's got about that. If you're easily offended, don't.
Like if you're already there.
Yeah. If you haven't read it.
If you don't know what he's like,
Yeah.
then why are you booking him?
Exactly.
That's what I'm
Thank you.
doing. He's not.
Did you have another point? or-
No, those are the two. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Right, anyone else have a comment on that? No. Okay, so we'll move on to 48624, update on educational projects. Again, we've had a written update on educational projects since the last committee meeting, and to discuss future educational products plan. So this will be over to you. Is it to you, Katie, or?
Is it David?
Sorry.
Educational.
Education. It's just no.
Just a note.
It's just
It's just a
yeah.
note. Brilliant. Okay, happy to do that. Right, 48720.
Sorry.
Oh,
I was just asking, it was actually, you sort of touched on a point I was going to make, which was, it's sort of update on educational project and what's upcoming, but there isn't anything about what's upcoming. It's just what happened. And I think that's a bit, I wish we could get updates. I'm like, okay, it's great that these have gone on. I didn't know they were going on until they've gone on.
Okay, yeah.
Quite good to get sort of some, and then also how you're making those decisions. So we can sort of potentially say, okay, yes, this is what we think is good, or I don't know, just some sort of sense of what's going to happen. That's sort of the rest of the point.
okay. Right, so we'll move on to 48724, VE and VJ Day 80th anniversary. Receive an update from the VE and VJ Day 80 working group on the planned events to celebrate the 80th anniversary.
Me too. Right. Well, we've had the 2 meetings now, and we've basically got the outline of what's going to go. Obviously, we then had to get the okay for the budget, which we've now done. And since then, we've not had a meeting, but I'm hoping to have a meeting in the next couple of weeks so that we can put a little bit more meat on the bones, because ideally we need to know what performance and et cetera, I'll bring it back to you then. But grateful that you
in my absence, you agreed the budget is a healthy budget, but as we all know, it is a big and it's the main event for the year. So, yeah, no more to update, but just what's there. I noticed we got pie messes already done, but we'll talk about them at the next meeting. But can we have one in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we can probably update you a little bit on the list of performers because it's not just,
Right.
you know, we've almost sort of agreed the lineup and the running order and stuff like that. So I don't know whether you just want to quickly run through.
Yeah, so like from the steering group meetings that we had, we've kind of gone down the 1940s routes. We've got some local singers, Charlie Wilson, Sam Creighton, to do kind of swing numbers and 40s numbers. But then for the big headline ones, we've actually found a really, well, I think they're pretty cool. So they are a swing band, but they do a lot of modern stuff. So instead of having a full day of 1940s songs and that kind of stuff, so they're a swing band, but they also do up-to-date music as well. And they're an 8-piece and come with singers, like celloists, saxophones. They come with kind of everything. So that will kind of be our headline acts as well. And then I think at the last steering group meeting, we agreed as well, I know it's on here, but not to have the screen and to put that potential budget into doing stuff for families on the day rather than having the screen, but kind of just do some stuff for families so that we get, like Mike rightly said, getting the young people a little bit more educated about VE Day and VJ Day, because obviously this isn't just VE Day, it is VJ Day as well. So Larry Gray is also confirmed, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he's going to power it for us as well, which will be a huge cost-cutting thing for us, which is great as well. I'm also, yeah, Dad's Army also want to get involved, and some of the other community groups. So hopefully we can fill that field and make it a real.
So we will, if possible, meet monthly just to
Yeah.
get meat on the bones so we can present it for you. So by March, I would hope that we can, or the end of March, I hope that we can give you pretty much a running order and what we've got, because then we know it's all set and it's all ready to go and we're not going to get any last minute hiccups. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So in March, you'll be able to tell us more, yeah?
Well, hopefully, yeah. But we're definitely going to have one meeting,
Yeah,
hopefully two before.
I think yeah, do most of it in March.
Yeah,
Because we mainly quite toilet and waste those collections and all that.
it is nice. Yeah.
okay. Any comments on what Vic said? Okay, so 488824, review of the venue booking terms and conditions. So to review and discuss the proposed changes to the venue booking terms and conditions. The decision requires to approve the venue hire booking terms and conditions.
See if I can just talk to that. I think David did a first draft of the amendments, and some of them have come out of the previous November meeting in particular. I had a workshop with the staff that are involved in the actual bookings who've been handling it in the office. We went through some of the issues and we flagged them up and we've actually put them into terms and conditions. We've got a new booking system, and the whole idea of what we're trying to do is get all the bookings through the booking system, because it's then creating an accountability trail. It ensures that all the bookings are done. And one of the failings that we've had in previous years is we just haven't enforced some of the terms and conditions. And it's actually quite difficult if we don't enforce it for everyone, but we only enforce it for certain hirers, puts us in a little bit of a moral dilemma. So the whole issue of the hall hire charges do that. What I would like to say is that we've got other events. So we've got basic hall hire charges, we've got music events which have a whole lot of other circumstances. So we're going to develop a set of booking conditions for someone that comes in and does a music event, because they're going to do PRS. There's other things. And then the last thing is we have a wedding. We're a wedding venue, is to have an additional set of terms and conditions for that. We offer, for example, if we have a wedding and have a reception in the large court, you're not going to charge them to use the small court if they have a bar or operation, etc. So there's a little bit more thinking to do that. But what we're sort of doing is just putting this out and testing it to ensure that it works. That what I realised with just reading through this today is the recommendation is for the committee to approve this, and we put it on the website on the condition that it gets updated when there's practicality. So, for example, if we have some practical issues, we bring it back to the committee, so we don't have to go through that wait 6 months before we do that. We would like to do it. The committee could resolve that any changes that we require from an operational efficiency perspective, we can bring it back to the committee to get those revisions made, so that it's like a seamless ongoing process rather than every 6 months, we try and live with booking terms and conditions that might be impractical, or we come across a circumstance that doesn't apply to. I'll end there.
Matt.
One really annoying tiny thing. He says telephonically by phoning, which to me is just irks me more than anything. By default, if you're phoning, you're doing it telephonically. The other thing is,
Good point.
it's like speaking verbally. Oh wow. Number 8, cancellation of bookings. So it says bookings may be cancelled 60 days before. 60 days before. Yeah, every time I open the PDF, it shuts again. It can be cancelled within. Hang on a minute. Cancellation. Bookings may be cancelled 60 days before the date that the venue has been booked, and a payment will be refunded. Have we got one? If it's booked within X amount of days, we keep the deposit.
If they cancel 30 days, we would keep the deposit.
Okay.
If they cancel the 45 days, we would keep the
Is
deposit.
that in there and I missed it?
It says,
It's on,
I've had a couple of people query that, so I think it's under the booking process. It says if you don't pay your fees within 60 days, then you forfeit your initial payment, and then if you cancel within 60 days, you would forfeit as well. If it's not clear, I'll
During 30 days.
60 days.
So what I'm saying is, if they cancel short, what's our short notice cancellation policy? Where we
Then you forfeit
what's the time frame?
60 days. So our system is programmed for 60 days.
If they cancel within 60 days of the event, we keep the lot.
The whole lot.
If they cancel before that, in the old terms, it doesn't state that. That's right. It doesn't state that we'll keep the deposit. So the 60 days is the big decision for the event hirer. If he goes beyond 60 days and then backs out because he hasn't sold enough tickets or whatever, we keep the lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have that black and white?
Yeah, I think we just need to match that a bit. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And the one thing that we try to do is move away from this word deposits, because a deposit is actually, it's not a deposit, it's actually an initial payment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
It's just there's no such word as deposit here, because the deposit implies that it's refundable, and this is not necessarily refundable.
Yep, no, I agree completely.
yeah, sorry.
One of the first times I've read a terms and conditions, I must say. Well, I had two comments. One was just a very, very basic one, which is under prohibited events, birthday parties celebrating birthdays between the ages of 16 and 21.
Simply because in the past, historically, they've been an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
We've had massive damage. We've had people that have said, look, can we have an under 18 party? I can assure you it would be 50-50 split between adults. We've had one adult there and the people have run riot. We've had so much damage that we took a decision. I don't think you can hire a place in Thetford for an under 18 party. So it's not, they won't pay for security. The last time we did it was about 7 years ago. The event started at 7 o'clock. We shut the venue down at 8. They were dropping children off. Parents were dropping children off drunk. And we did have security. We couldn't let them into the building because they'd walk onto site drunk, but we had due care of people being drunk outside. So it just presents too many problems. And it's difficult when you're 21, then there's an age thing. That's why you challenge 25 is challenge 25, because it's so
it's past experience of it.
It is past experience. And similarly, I mean, we had an inquiry the other day for a New Year's Eve party. And again, for the last 7 years, we've never done a New Year's Eve party because one, it's very costly to get security and things like that. We don't take New Year's Eve parties. Whether the committee has a different view on that, I'm happy to listen, but historically, it's a nightmare.
I say that was just more of a question. The other one, which is a bit more open to discussion, I think one of my other points was just, it was about the council may consider applications for free hire, application to be writing, etc. That was the bit that I asked a question for, do we want that like in there at all? Actually, is it a good idea that we are
Prompt them to make the,
do we need to offer it? So do we, that was sort of my discussion point. And it might touch on something we're talking later, I don't know, but it flashed out at me that I question whether we want to offer free hire at all.
I think we have to have a process for it. Otherwise officers are have to be guided. So at the moment, we have very few free hires. We have the Taurus, I think, once a year, they're a free hire. We have the Municipal United Charities that meet here. I think we have STAG and those meetings. And that's the only ones we've had. We've had applications, 1 or 2 applications for it, which this committee have turned down on the basis that there's no value for that. So there are far and few between. The problem is that we don't, I can't think of anywhere else to put it if I don't put it on here. And unless you put it on the hall hire charges, you know, I wouldn't want to put it there. But if the committee would like us to do that, then I'm more than happy to do so.
I find it being there, then, and I guess the policy of the free hire is to discuss it in a different place. Is that fair?
So if someone wants to apply to get the hall hire waiver, it has to come before this committee. They have to make the decision.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the policy. So the policy of we could offer free hire, that's a different thing to what we're looking at right now. This is just the terms and conditions about it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the wording on it?
Council may consider applications for free hire. These applications have to be writing using the appropriate form on the website. It should be noted the application for it. I'm fine with wording for it. It's more the free hire principle that I'm questioning. But I'm happy to leave it there and discuss the free hire principle in another point.
But I mean, personally, I wouldn't advertise the fact that we can do it. If someone requests that, then you can then discuss the policy and the application process to commit. I wouldn't advertise the fact you're going to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry apply.
Yeah, I guess
Just a chance they're on.
And you're already getting the terms and conditions once you book. They might then think, oh, I could have got it for free,
Yeah.
maybe, and then maybe come back, maybe take it out.
I think probably the whole thing about the application for free hire has to be firmed up, because I don't think enough questions are asked. You've mentioned 2 or 3 there, and there's one of them that actually generates quite a significant income, but there's no evidence presented. It's just we've always done it, so let's do it. So I think we need to look at that, but I don't think it should be advertised in this.
So is this bit?
Number 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so do we need to take that out of
Would you
them?
like that taken out?
I suggest so.
Yeah,
We need to propose it. Is that?
do we need to propose that then?
Well, it will prove that subject to that change and telephonic.
Matt,
This, just to preface this is not a hill I'm going to die on. However, I kind of want the New Year's Eve bit to be removed, only because for two reasons. One, I like the idea that there's the potential that we could put one on, and I wouldn't want to be hypocritical and say you can never have one here, but we'll have one.
Yeah.
We look horrible. But also, if I don't think they exist anymore, but I can't think of any other groups. If Thetford Rotary wanted to put on a New Year's Eve, that's very different to the sort of New Year's you have in your head. So I'd like we can still refuse a booking, but I'd like the idea of we can't blanche ban any New Year's.
I'll take your point. There are different events. One could be specific invitation only, rather than an open event that you can pitch up and just buy a ticket. And potentially there's a problem. There's very few events on New Year's Eve nowadays, so it's going to generate a lot of people to come along. The beauty of the Carnegie is, touch wood, we don't usually have a lot of trouble because it's not on the main thoroughfare. So we don't want the Carnegie to be tarnished with that kind of event. But if it was a family event or something like that and they wanted to hire it, then yeah.
So should we take that out as well?
You don't have to specifically say that, and if the inquiry comes in, then we look at it.
We'll see. I work in a contract world. If that says we do not have New Year's Eve, then it's,
Then,
it's
yeah.
out. If we're entertaining the idea, it's
Yeah.
out, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think,
I'm still happy to have the ability to have it and not have it, but
The beauty of the online booking system is it's not a secure booking until we take the decision to confirm it. So we address the issue at that point.
but I think if that's in the terms and conditions, somebody's going to look at that and think, oh, there's
We
no
don't do
point,
the- yeah.
doing it, so take that out, yeah? Anything else anyone wants to change?
But connected to it, the kitchen services. We've got a professional kitchen we don't use. Wouldn't it be, when we eventually go to this trust, wouldn't it be an idea to look at what we can do to generate income in the kitchen? Because we've got a bar, we can generate stuff with, we've got a professional kitchen.
I must admit, we are getting better, certainly over the last couple of years. And Liv is tasked with communicating with hirers and trying to manipulate for our advantage, say bar opening times. So they'll come in and say, oh, we'll open the door at 7:30 and then the disco will start at 8. We'll push them to open up earlier so we can generate more bar sales, get the flow of people in earlier. We could actually say, look, we've got a professional kitchen here, but what we need is either a preferred partner in terms of catering or to explore that ourselves. Big.
So that's for when we get the.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah,
looking forward, you know.
We do use it obviously on the odd occasion, we have used it a few times, obviously to create the afternoon teas and stuff like that. So we do that's when we do in-house stuff. And obviously it is hired at Christmas time and birthdays and weddings, the big.
Yeah,
events,
yeah.
but
And they get their own.
I think you had a meeting, Alan, sorry. I think you had a meeting while I was away last week, Alan, and in this area, it was saying that there needs to be, I think it was in the old terms and conditions, someone needs to supervise the operation if you've got a hirer in, that they have to have a food hygiene certificate, at least one person. So we just need to try and put that in. I saw a note on one of the,
we did
Yeah.
make that note.
Yeah. I think you did.
You said something.
I've seen it on the.
It wasn't on the version that we worked on.
Okay,
It was just,
Can we put that in?
yeah.
Can we put that in?
right, so subject to all those changes,
so the changes are the telephonic grammar, remove free hires, remove New Year's Eve, put in a constant review of practical implications to bring back to this committee, and the food hygiene. Those are the changes that we've agreed so far. Are you happy?
happy with those?
Yeah.
Any others?
Propose and second.
Do we need a propose? Can we have a proposer, Matt? Second, Vic? Everyone in favour? Anyone against? No, okay. Right. Do we go on to this one now?
If I could ask the deputy
Yeah.
below the line.
Yeah, so we'll put that last then. So the next one will go last. Right, so we'll go on to 492 for progress on actions from previous meetings.
Good luck.
We've introduced a new system with the progress reports and logging this. It's still a little bit of work in progress. By the start of the new mayoral year, this will be really up and running a little bit more. We just go through, we add up the action points from previous meetings, and we put those that are completed into the completed schedule. So it's a real reflection of the progress of our tasks.
Yeah. We've got quite a few completed ones.
We have.
Yeah. So that's just a note, isn't it? Yeah. Committee officer update, to receive any updates on the committee officer since the agenda for this meeting was issued. No.
Just something I wonder, we sent a letter to Mike Wade about coming back as town council clerk. he said he didn't want to.
Okay.
He can just keep the rest of the committee, I think.
Excuse me.
That's you then.
I don't think it is. I'll talk about it.
Right, okay. Okay, so we're on to 48924. We're going to discuss this below the line, so we'll need to exclude public, which aren't, and the press, which aren't any. But we need to,
If they're happy to do it.
are you happy for that to be discussed below the line? Yeah. Okay, then we need to stop recording.
Just to this item,